of thousands of names right here.
Right, and that's just one database. There's tens of thousands of databases like this that you can look at.
We found passwords for friends and NBC colleagues. Experts say we all need to take our passwords to the next level. My password, Today Show 2018, was weak. Experts now advise using long song lyrics or phrases. I left my heart in San Francisco in 2017. But automated computer programs might even crack that. Which is why security pros say we should all use password managers or vaults that keep our passwords encrypted. And multi-step authentication, a code sent via text message to your phone, which you first must unlock with biometrics.
We have to assume that there's a good chance our information is out there, which is why we have to keep changing our passwords and updating our accounts.
Oh, I'm scared. Tom, thank you for that. Welcome. We're also joined now by Caleb Barlow, who's the Vice President of Threat Intelligence at IBM Security. Okay, so the question is whether there really is anything that we can do to keep our accounts, our personal information, out of the hands of hackers and the bad guys. Is there?
Well, I think this is one of the big challenges we all face. And let's, if we look at this, this is one of the biggest issues affecting our times and our society.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what I'm really focused on. This isn't just about protecting our own data. It's about protecting the data of our friends, our colleagues that we work with. Because if your account is compromised, that becomes the launching pad for an attacker to go after everyone around you.
Yeah. We've seen that. How many times have you gotten the notification from a friend that's like, I've been hacked, and maybe you've already opened up something from them. You're like, great, thanks a lot, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
You actually ran a little experimental test with this very audience. Tell us about that.
We did. So we got 22 volunteers from the audience, and actually, let me read off some names if they could stand up.
Uh-oh.
So Kathleen, Nancy, Margaret, Christine, Gwen, Richard, and Patricia. So were all of you aware that over the course of the last 2 years, your personal information has been part of a data breach? No. Very interesting. Several of you were actually involved in multiple breaches. So, for example, Nancy and Christine, you were both part of 2 to 3 breaches each. Does that surprise you at all?
Yes, it does. Not really.
Not really? Now, do you use that email address you gave us for like buying a lot of things and making a lot of purchases?
Yes.
Exactly. So where you both fell victim was a breach that actually was associated with a marketing company that has a lot of your personal information and uses that to market to you. And they made some mistakes, and bad guys get access to your information.
Wait, but how can they get into the account?
Well, they didn't necessarily get into their accounts. They got access to their information. So, for example, they might have not only their email address, but their actual location of where they live. It could, depending on the breach, maybe even be private information like a social security number or a date of birth. So you got to remember, Megan, last year alone in one breach, half of all Americans lost their social security number.
Oh, my goodness.
And Megan, I hate to tell you this, but we also have your information. Your information was also out there. Your private personal email was out there. We're not going to share it, but here's the problem.
But we are going to talk about it later.
Uh-oh.
Here's the problem. The problem is if hackers have your personal email, and you're a public figure, as am I, they can start doing research on you, and they can start targeting you with emails, phishing emails, trying to get you to click on a link and trying to get you to essentially expose yourself. And if they can't get you, then they're going to start targeting your friends and your kids, and they can start building information, a database about you or anybody to start that.
Once you click on the link, you're dead. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you click on links, and then they're in.
Inside your computer. Yep.
All right, so let's go through with the things we should and should not do. Caleb, what's number one? Something that we should do.
I think one of the things that we should do is remember that, great technology comes with great responsibility. And part of that responsibility, not only keep your password changed and up to date and things like that, but you can actually go out to some websites and check maybe once a month to see if you've actually been what we call pwned, or you've actually been part of a data breach. So one of these sites that's commonly used is called I'veBeenPwned.com.
Pwned?
Pwned. Yes, pwned. That's the technical term for it, where your data has been released out there and part of the data breach.
Okay, so go there, check it out, see if your emails, and no danger in putting your email in there?
Well, again, we're gonna post up the websites to go check. Go into those legitimate websites, see if you have been
Those
pwned.
are safe to check out.
Exactly.
Okay. What else?
Well, let me give you a big don't. Don't use the same email address that you're doing for your shopping or your Netflix or your Facebook. Don't use that email address for your banking activities. You should have a separate, sacred email address assigned only for banking and investments and that kind of thing. You want to
I did not know that.
You want to create silos, and the most sensitive financial information should be on a separate email that you don't share with anybody else.
It's very smart and very easy. Okay, I like that one. What else should we do?
Okay, another don't. You know those personality tests that you get online, often on Facebook?
Yep.
Well, a lot of times...
Which golden girl are you?
Yeah, I don't know. Which golden girl are you, Megan?
I'm definitely Sophia.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think... How about you, Tom? No. I think one of the things you got to realize is oftentimes things like that are asking a little bit too much personal information that could be then used by an attacker to mount an attack. So where did you grow up? What high school did you go to? Think about it. All of those are often questions that are used when you go to reset your password.
So are those things like which Friends character are you? Is that put up there by bad guys, or bad guys just know how to access it?
More often than not, those things are put up there by marketing companies looking to market to you.
Okay.
Sometimes it could be put up there by bad guys.
Just don't do it. Just go to your psychiatrist if you want to know what kind of person you are.
Exactly.
Avoid the online test.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
One more. Here's both a do and a don't. If you get these questions when you're creating your online security profile, what street did you grow up on? What's your mother's maiden name? What's your favorite color? Lie. Don't tell the real reasons, because if you put out there, my street that I grew up on is, Main Street, USA. Well, then they can start using that information, building a database, and if they can find that information on your social media sites like Facebook or your friends, whatever, they can say, Megan grew up on Main Street, and we know that Megan's favorite color is blue, and her first name's dog was Rover. They can start guessing for your other passwords, your other
Before
security
you know it, they're
passwords.
in all of your accounts.
That's right.
They can get
Exactly.
a credit card under your name.
Use your cousin's street that she grew up on.
That's good.
Use your best friend's dog's name. The trouble is, now you got to remember that stuff.
I know.
Right?
Well, that was so. Can I just ask you before we go? So, what is this vault you're talking about? Because I think most of us just put our little passwords on someplace in the iPhone. I don't want to be specific, but you just put it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so
What's the vault?
Vault is actually a tool that you can buy where it allows you to store a bunch of passwords that you can't even remember the names
Yes.
to. So passwords length matters,
It's
right?
an app.
It's an app, and what it does is it stores all your passwords, and all you have to do is remember the one password of how to log into that app.
Oh my gosh.
And then everything
Where
else
have you
is
been all my life? That is so much easier.
And it encrypts passwords and creates very long, complicated passwords, all of them encrypted, so you're not using 12 for 150 sites.
That is brilliant. Thank you, gentlemen, so much. And we have to talk later, clearly, because I really need to up my game. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Hacking your happiness. Is your tech bringing you down? But first, a star basketball player with the world at her fingertips walks away from it all. Her amazing journey. Next.
All right, I want to stop right there real quick. I got something to have to say to my viewers real quick here pertaining to security breaches. First of all, I don't take no chances at all with certain industries, and one of those industries naturally is one of those industries is my banking industry. I personally don't do no banking online, regardless of how convenient that it may seem. I don't take snapshot pictures of checks and then digitally deposit it over into my account. A matter of fact, Bush Jr. was so educated about the breaches and the type of technology that we use today, that he wouldn't even use a cellular phone at one time. In other words, he would use a secure line, a landline, or some kind of secure government line to where he knew that there was no way that anybody out there could pick up on your Eric Snowden type ideals towards honing in and getting information from a various satellite pertaining to a database. I don't do no banking. I do it the old-fashioned way. If I got something to do, I do it with the bank, or I go to another bank to do it. But about 4.5 years ago, before I come back to Tennessee, just to give you an idea towards different banks who are up to date on breaches, in which, you know, you kind of question that, because I use a Wells Fargo out west towards my primary bank. But because I had been allotted towards being on temporary disability for a while, I had a banker at Wells Fargo out in North Carolina tell me, he said, "Dennis, you don't need to use your same account that you receive your check from the government towards an automatic electronic digital deposit. You don't need to use that account towards your expense account." He said, "You need to set up a different account." And I said, "Well, how can I do that?" He said, "Easy." He said, "We got things automatically to where whenever my check comes in on somewhere between the 1st and the 3rd every month, in this account, it holds a certain amount of money, and within 72 hours, it automatically flips what money that come in that account over into another account, and this account is what I use for my expense account towards going out here purchasing items." And you may be asking, well, why in the world would you want to do that? Well, if this account over here is ever compromised, which hopefully it won't be, but if it is, you got to think hypothetically that the world that we live in, anything can happen, that if this account's ever compromised, it won't cause havoc over here in this account that I've already got set up on an automatic Social Security debit deposit once every month. In other words, I won't have to forfeit what I've already got set up over here in this account because it didn't get compromised. You understand what I'm saying? During the time that I was out on the road, from basically 2005 up until 2014, there would have been no way humanly possible that I could have done what I done towards me not having a group of people, a congregation, or an established group that was actually helping me with my finances, my obligations, my responsibilities, where I was to go, what hotel I was to stay in, what in-town stay I was supposed to go to. There would have been no way for me to have done that if I was not using modern day technology. That's the only reason why that I could have done what I done, is because I was using automatic this, automatic that, automatic this, automatic that, automatic this. And those things are very, very efficient, and it's the way to go in life because it saves you time, energy. A lot of times it saves you a stamp. You don't have to do it the old-fashioned way. But you got to be very, very careful in doing stuff electronically. And just like they was talking about, you never, ever, there's certain things that you just don't do, because in today's society, we don't have just thieves. We got smart thieves. They're just not robbers. They're smart robbers. And we're not talking about jewel heisters that go in and rob physical, tangible stuff that you can touch, pick up, and look at. We're talking about people that can go into your account and they can basically ruin you within a matter of seconds. Seconds. Once they find out who you are, once they target you and figure out what's going on in your life. And there's no doubt there is marketing schemes in the already set up either through Facebook, Twitter, or other social medias. Because as soon as I got my little dog, guess what? I started getting all kinds of programs from PetSmart. Oh, 20% off. Oh, 30% off dog food. Oh, 40% off dog food. Well, once they figured out my dog died, I no longer get those. Now, I have let them know that I got a boat, a fishing boat out here. Oh, we got Bass Pro stuff on sale. We got this, this. So you got to be careful in what you put on your social media, because there will be people out there that are monitoring you towards identifying what you're involved in. And naturally, they're not going to try to sell you a cruise liner boat or a sailboat if you're inland. It's kind of like Walmart. You go to Walmart, guess what? Walmart sells everything. But Walmart don't sell everything to every store. In other words, what business is Walmart going to have towards selling surfboards to people in Kansas? They don't. But guess what? Walmart sells surfboards. Anywhere there's a major body of water or a lake or an ocean, that's where your marina stuff will be. Okay? Most Walmarts here in the U.S. don't sell live livestock. But you can go to Mexico and other parts of the world, and they sell live livestock. Chickens, goats, turkeys. Right. These are marketing skills that the consumer, you and I, should be familiar with. It's kind of like whenever you walk into Walmart and you only have the intentions of wanting to buy, let's say, cookies. You're going to go in there and buy cookies. I got to run in here real quick. I got to get some cookies. I hadn't got nothing to feed the kids in the morning. As you're walking into Walmart, suddenly you stumble over this item that's sitting basically in the middle of the aisle that nobody wants, but because it says 75% off, or because it says clearance item, or because it says cut/dot on sale, must go, whatever, it gets your attention. You stop and you look at it. And even though you don't know what it is, you don't know what it does, even though you don't even need it, you may very well pick up that item because of it being on sale and say, I'm going to take this home, see what it does. So they thrive off of your curiosity, because by and large, the Homo sapiens up onto the planet are very, very curious people whenever it comes to their curiosity. What is that old saying about the cat? Curiosity killed the cat. Right? The human race, the Homo sapiens, have a lot of curiosity. And if you don't watch various marketing schemes out there, will market you off of that. They'll see that as a weakness, and because they see that as a weakness, they will target you in that area. And it don't matter if it's shoes, it don't matter if it's hats, it don't matter if it's exercise equipment. My God, how many people have bought an exercise equipment and used it 5 times, and the next thing you know, it winds up in the closet or down in the basement or up in the attic? Come on, get real. They target us. They look at what we want. They look at what we like. They look at what we need. If we have a dog, we're going to naturally have a need for dog food. You follow what I'm saying? So you got to be very, very careful out there whenever it comes to breaches. And a lot of times you set yourself up for that breach. Hopefully, I pray to God, hopefully, that within the next 5 years, we will be able to modify quantum physics, that China has right on the cutting edge of defining it. We're already working in quantum physics in other areas pertaining to technology. Hopefully, whenever quantum physics finally comes out in full screen and we can modify quantum physics, hopefully that will narrow the margin of smart thieves and hackers, and it will narrow the margin as far as various groups that are targeting people for monetary gain, as far as marketing skills. Hopefully that will narrow that margin down to where people like, let's say, PetSmart won't be able to identify not necessarily who you are, but they won't be able to identify that, guess what? You got a yellow golden retriever, or you got a Shih Tzu, or a wiener dog, or you got a Persian cat. Hopefully that area will be narrowed to the point that it will be very, very slim towards somebody and penetrating into, breaching into your securest ideals and your securest life. That way they can't understand who you are. They don't know where you live. They don't know what you like. They don't know nothing about your aunt. They don't know nothing about your dog. Hopefully we can narrow that margin down, tweak it to the point that it will become more unbreachable. That's the problem that we're having right now, not only with social media, but in all these high-tech, super-seeded technologies that are out there in the world right now. And it doesn't matter if it's military. It doesn't matter if it's Sony. It doesn't matter if it's the banking industry. It doesn't matter if it's the richest of the rich or the poorest of the poor. We have developed a monster, per se, that is not only being abused. Any and everything can be used as a tool or a weapon. If the person that's got the bad motive, the bad actor that wants to use it as a weapon, anything can be used as a weapon if it's mishandled and if it's put in the wrong hands. So that's an area that technology savvy people, regardless whether it be AT&T, IBM, Xerox, other social medias pertaining to Google and Twitter and Angie's List and other things out there, those are areas that really and truly we really need to tighten up the grips on, because it's going to basically be the survival of the Homo sapiens. We're walking into a kind of like the St. Louis Arch whenever the West was tamed. We're walking into a very, very unfamiliar area right now. Go west, young man. Go west, young man. Well, after you go west, what happened to them whenever they went out west? They had the elements to have to fight. They had severe, severe weather radical changes, from deserts, from snowstorms, from flooding, from bears to Indians, to you name it. They went west. But they went blindly into it. And now, several years later, we're identifying the dangers and we're being able to balance things out according to play. Same way with the technology that we hold in our hands now pertaining to the internet services. This is an area that is basically a new frontier, and because of it, there's going to be some loose ends, some loose screws. There's going to be some areas that need tweaking. There's going to be some areas that are going to have to be looked at towards tightening down the hatches, per se. But eventually, I got faith in the Homo sapiens here up onto the planet. Eventually, I think that they'll modify it and they'll get it, they'll fine tune it, and they'll get it like it needs to be. That way, You know, if you want to be in this class, you be in that class. If you want to be in this class, you're over here in this class. If you're just a mid-range class, well, then you're in the mid-range class. But whatever classifications that you're going to be in, regardless whether it's the highest of the highest pertaining to the Pentagon, or if you're in the truck driving industry and you don't want somebody to breach into your account to know that you are transporting chickens, working with Tyson because you own JB Hunt or Swifty, you don't want somebody to breach into your account to know, hey, where did they get that account at? Who's selling these freaking chickens? Well, how come we can't get in on the deal? You know what I'm saying? So there's areas right now that are so dangerous out there. So I'm telling my viewers, my viewers that love the Windmill Ministries missions, I'm telling you right now, please be careful out there. And it's not just what you see around you whenever you're opening up your door and you're getting out and you see 4 or 5 teenagers over here that look like gang members because they've got black and they've got tattoos and they've got beads coming out their nose and you got to look for tattletale signs, regardless whether you're going into it or you're coming out of it. In other words, be vigilant. Look before you leap. Thanks again. Good luck to all of us and shalom. See ya. Bye.